Hello and welcome back. Today our issue is one note. The contentious note in Prelude number 1, bar measure number 26. In this bar, the first B is in many editions a B flat, and it sounds like this. And so on. Well, in all 4 surviving manuscripts from the 18th century, including the earliest copy by Kellner, Bach's wife Anna Magdalena, to manuscript C and D just before 1800, all copiers, without exception, show it is a B natural. And it sounds like that. That means the intended note by Bach was a B, not a B flat. It had been copied like this by all copiers. The second B flat is in all editions a B flat. Then in the first printed editions, not only one edition but all, this one note had changed to B flat. It is obviously a mistake, but how could it become so accepted? When I learned the Bach cello suites, I always played B flat, the wrong note. It was written in all editions I knew. How could that happen? I compare it to copy mistakes in slurs. A common mistake is the copier writes the slur in a rush. The slur gets too short or too much to the right or to the left. The copier probably had in mind to put a flat in front of the B, but mistakenly put it in front of the first B, not the second one. He or she went too far back. The copier might have wanted to get consciously far enough back, because copiers often don't go far enough back when writing the slurs. And this is a common mistake, and it's called the right shift. So the copier here wanted probably to be extra good and went too far back. It can happen easily. No great blame. Later playing through, it sounded okay. Didn't catch any attention or doubt. What happened next? The most likely train of thought seems for me that an enthusiastic performer and teacher did multiple copies, maybe already from a copy, like a well-known teacher with many students. This version then spread among a growing number of cellists and professionals in the area of the first prince, which is also the place of origin, Leipzig. Officially, Noblin's edition was the first, published 1824 by Cotel in Paris, then Probst in Leipzig, literally the Noblin edition. Then Doerffel edition in 1826, and from here on all editions, including from the Bach Society, Bach Gesellschaft, until Hausmann in 1899, the first who wrote for the first B flat a B natural. Copying from a teacher is a tradition today. Independent of the copy I owned, I and all the other students had to copy my teacher's bowings and fingerings from the time period my teacher had been studying with the grand teacher. This is very common in perpetuating tradition. At the time of the early prints, or short before the manuscripts, there was nothing else than your teacher's copy. Alternative prints were not even around. Also, even when printers were confronted with different versions of manuscripts, there was no logical reason to give more preference to one or another, because, with the original being known as lost, no manuscript could be given more preference to another. The decision over time was made according to how people got to know the suites. The way it was most commonly played seemed the most true one. I need to mention here the power of performance of exceptional musicians. In our life, we are a few times moved by performances. Virtually always this experience is linked to an exceptional performer. Like every human, this performer relies on the resources available. If the notes or bowings are correct or not, once performed in a superb way, they gain power. If a misprint happens to fall in the hands of an exceptional performer, the misprint turns into the desirable version. Everyone wants to play like that. In our search for truth, we rely instinctively rather in the conviction of a performance than in the correct notes. Therefore, a change of notes in a major work, which has been performed hundreds of times in a superb way, will only convince once the new version with a change has been performed convincingly and repeatedly. In 1899, the first version appeared with B natural, again in Leipzig by Hausmann, as mentioned. I would love to know today which manuscript he still used, because no printed edition showed it. That means even in 1899, some of the old manuscripts must have still been around. The funny and interesting thing with the Hausmann edition is that the uploaded version on IMSLP Petrucci is hand-corrected, from B natural to B flat, because Hausmann was the first to publish the correct note. The owner thought it must be a mistake, had never seen that note. Even in my old Bärenreiter Wenzinger edition from 1950, which is still for sale, is written the B flat, although by then the manuscripts were already known. But they counted nothing compared to the power of the tradition to play B flat. To understand all the discrepancy, I will have a close look at the manuscript we rely on today. The first interesting observation for me is they don't show any signs of usage. They were copied, like by Kellner, for himself, and the others for friends or wealthy people who wanted to own and store a copy without playing it. Their influence was nothing. No one knew them. No one played them, no fingering, no bowing added, no correction when a bowing was obviously missing or wrong. Nothing. All we know is that between 1780 and 1800 the copier D still copied the B natural and not the B flat. I might mention here an influential cellist might not have been the culprit, but he might have copied already from a copy with a mistake, and then it became the version being used by an excellent cellist. We don't know, but it's mind-blowing. I find it amazing how it can happen that a wrong note is given preference up to 1950 and even up to today. I've been pulled up for playing a B natural in my Bach concerts in the cave here. This note seems so noticeable that cello players and enthusiasts keep it in mind and mention it. And amazing how slowly the truth creeps in. Anna Magdalena's copy with B natural had been published already in 1929 by Alexanian, nearly 100 years ago. And Pablo Casals played it the correct B natural in 1950, the same year as Wenzinger's copy was first published. And that's for today. How complex a single note can turn out to be. Goodbye for now.